If I don't finally get my focus in check, if I keep wandering around distracted, if I keep looking at every new thing that pops up, if I keep trying every single new opportunity, if I keep saying yes to everything, if I keep listening to everybody's complaints, and if I keep doing whatever they ask me to do, at some point, you'll lose your life. And I don't mean that physically as in harm or death. I mean that one day you'll wake up and say, I don't feel like I've accomplished what's meaningful to me. I don't feel like I'm in a job that I care for. I don't feel like I have connection with my family or my friends, because at some point, your focus drives everything. It drives your thoughts and your emotions, right? What you focus on is certainly, if you focus on the negative things, you're gonna be negative. If you fail to focus on the things that are important, meaning your priorities, then what happens to your relationships? What happens to the overall quality of your life? Focus is driving everything in your life. You gotta get it back. It's not just about being productive. It's about experiencing the best quality of life. So how are you going to get your focus back? The first thing that I need you to know in order to get your focus back is to realize that you need to make fewer decisions. Fewer decisions. Why? Well, as we know from neuroscience, and we know from productivity studies, that the more decisions that we actually make, the more our brain becomes fatigued. Right? The more decisions that we make, the more we utilize the glucose that's really fueling our willpower, that's fueling our ability to make more decisions and higher quality decisions. Matter of fact, the more decisions that you tend to make, the less effective you're going to be over the long term, because you're going to utilize your ability and your resources and your brain's power, literally your willpower, will go out the window. So you want to minimize the number of decisions you are making. How do you do that? Well, here's some simple things. One, stop browsing. You know, I know maybe you found me because you were browsing somewhere, and I hope you make me part of your focus on your personal development, that I'm a purposeful part of your life. But I can tell you, overall, browsing completely wipes out your focus and your willpower. Even all these little things you're focusing on are utilizing all your brain's resources. And over a period of time, when you stop browsing and you go back to focusing on something, guess what? You tend not to be able to focus on one thing and get things done. You start multitasking and doing lots of things, but where your work isn't really focused, nothing gets accomplished. So what happens is your brain is fatigued. Guess what happens to your brain fatigued? You find yourself sitting with a bag of potato chips, and what do when you have the remote control? You're just flipping randomly through things. Do you ever notice that? Meaning it's easier to become distracted the more distracted you are. Meaning the more that you aren't focusing on one thing at a time, the more problem you're going to have later on to complete one thing at a time. And I know that makes sense, but here's this simple solution if you missed it. Stop browsing so much. All those browsing, all those tweets that you're reading, all those news feeds that you're reading, guess what? Every time you look at them, guess what your mind has to do? It has to make a decision, pay attention or not pay attention. And that decision is costing you focal power and resources later on, even if you don't know it. Now some people say, well, Brendon, I study neuroscience too, but all those little things I see, those are firing off my dopamine and my vasopressin. I'm getting excited because I'm seeing all these things. My mind feels rewarded by seeing all these things, making all these decisions. And it is true. That's why it's such a frenzy, and it becomes so addictive, but it also becomes so fatiguing. And if you're constantly fatiguing your brain by focusing on a million things, you'll never get your focus power back. Does that make sense? So stop making so many decisions by stop browsing things to decide whether or not you should pay attention to them. Just stop browsing. When you do things, do them intentional. If you're looking for something, search for that one thing, find it, you're out. Stop clicking on all the blue links, stop swiping all the apps and all the pictures. Do the things that are gonna move you forward.